is The Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, The Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on The Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famers, Mike Van Diest, joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on The Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
The Jason Walker Show, presented by Helena Accommodations. The in-town 5-star extended stay residences. Visit HelenaAccommodations.com. Broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave, here's Jason Walker.
Oh, hello. Happy Friday. Man, we are already off to a great start. I'm just pushing all sorts of buttons over here, not knowing what the heck's going on, but it's a lot of fun, right? All right, big show coming up today inside the Major Mortgage Man Cave. And I do want to take this this moment to also thank our longtime sponsor, Helena Accommodations, for all of their support over the last, year plus. Moving on, so if you want to become a presenting sponsor of the Jason Walker Show, get a hold of me. Jason Walker Show is rolling on, and we will be off next week. All next week, no shows. Normally this is when I would take a week off, so I'm going to take a week off. It's spring break. There's also no school, and there's no sports. So I'm giving you a break from me. So we're gonna be back. I guess April 6th, but last show today. But when we come back April 6th, there's gonna be some more exciting news as well. So, all right, what do we got coming up today? We are going to you're first watching live on the Facebook. Facebook.com/The Jason Walker Show. Appreciate that. Also, YouTube Live. You can listen on Podbean, Network One Sports, and also TreasureStateRadio.com. But, like I said, April 6th, we'll have some brand new stuff for you to listen to, or places to listen to, which is going to be awesome. For everything you missed at any time, just go to JasonWalkerShow.com. Okay? And then you can email us. You can tweet us. You can Facebook us anytime as well. All right. So what's coming up today? We are going to check in with new member of the Montana Coaches Hall of Fame, Tony Arntzen. He's currently the track coach up at University of Providence, and he will join us coming up in about 40 minutes or so. And the list was out yesterday. The 9 new members into the MCA Hall of Fame came out yesterday. Coach Arntzen, Jim Carroll, track and field coach for 39 years, including 33 at Conrad. Bill Lepley, who coached girls basketball for 32 years at Shepherd. John Saletti, who guided the cross country and track and field program at Manhattan for 21 years. John Smith, longtime Columbus coach. Dan Stanton, is going in posthumously, 25-year run at Miles City. Brother Rob Stanton, 27-year coaching vet, 9 years at Miles City, last 18 at West. State championship a couple of years ago. Fred Volkman, the head wrestling coach at Cutbank, 22 of his 24 years. And Steve Weston, who had 24 years at Hamilton, another 13 at Darby. So it's a great list, and we will check in with Tony Arntzen a little bit later on. Also, we are going to talk to an attorney. Title IX is one of her specialties. Her name is Kelsey Traynor. She's coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. She has some thoughts on the 2 lawsuits against Carroll College. One filed last June, golf coach Ben McIntyre, and then some softball players, former and present, filing a Title IX lawsuit just recently. So we'll talk to Kelsey Traynor coming up. We'll get her thoughts on the Title IX lawsuit, what exactly Title IX means at a place like Carroll College, and a whole lot more. So looking forward to that coming up here as well. Don't know if you saw this or not, but we have a little bit of a surprise for the University of Montana. It's the way it's written in 406mtsports.com. But Gabby Harrington, who entered the transfer portal this week after 3 years at Montana, announced late last night she's transferring to Idaho for her final season. So after 3 pretty good years at Montana, Gabby Harrington's heading off to Moscow to play for the Vandals. And she wrote on her Facebook page last night, quote, "My time in Missoula was great. It was a very difficult decision to leave. I've decided for my last year to finish up my basketball career at the University of Idaho, and I am very thankful for this opportunity. Can't wait for the upcoming season. Go Vandals." End quote. Veteran coach at Idaho, John Newley, he put out on Twitter last night, quote, or today, quote, "We got better last night. Go Vandals," end quote. Now, Harrington is from Boise, which is a few hours away from Moscow. Averaged 7.5 points last year and 19 minutes of playing time. And is one of the latest in a line that are leaving the Lady Grizz. And you look at Sammy Fatkin, who had a great season last year, especially late, or 2 years ago. She left in December. Katie Mayhew transferred. Haley Nicholson, who's now at Northern. Sierra Anderson, Nora Click, Caitlin Lonergan, all left. It's crazy what's going on over there in Missoula. And then, of course, you throw in the graduations of 3 this year, including Mackenzie Johnston. So Shannon Schwain's got her hands full over there in Lady Grizz country, trying to get the program back to where it was many, many moons ago under Robin Selvig. But, yeah, so we'll see what happens over there. All right, let's see here. What else do we want to talk? Oh, I did see this. Speaking of the coronavirus. So Montana had its first death, and that absolutely is horrendous and tragic. It was a Libby, a guy from Libby. So our thoughts with his family. Coronavirus numbers just keep going up here in Montana, over 100 now. And it just keeps going and going. Of course, the governor issuing a stay-at-home declaration, not exactly shelter in place, but essentially it's the same thing. My question is, what's the difference of what we've been doing the last 2 weeks? Because essential businesses stay open. You can still get curbside delivery from food places, including our 3 fantastic food sponsors, Cafe Zydeco, Dinner's Done Right, and the Motherlode. But, by the way, I had a Motherlode burger last night. Holy cow, it's good. Like 3/4 pound burger with bacon and cheese. Really good. So if you're looking for dinner tonight, there you go. Or Cafe Zydeco or Dinner's Done Right. But anyway, it really doesn't affect what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. Now, a shelter-in-place order is a little bit bigger deal, and that's not exactly how he phrased it, but starting tonight or tomorrow morning, I guess, at 12:01, just don't go out, okay? I had to take care of some errands today, wash my hands, all that fun stuff. Town was dead driving in. It's crazy. It reminds me of a Sunday, honestly, in Helena. All right, so we're going to talk to Tony Arnson coming up. Oh, this is what I wanted to get to. We asked this question a couple weeks ago. We've asked it last week. We asked it this week. Will there be NFL or college football this year? Because after the Olympics got postponed to next year, the next big sports items coming up in August would be the NFL and college football. Kirk Herbstreit, great ESPN college football analyst, told TMZ, he was asked the question, and he told TMZ that he'll be, quote, shocked if there's any NFL or college football this fall because of the pandemic. He went on Twitter to say, I'm not really, quote, I wasn't really trying to add to the fear or trying to scare anyone at all, simply answered a question that was posed. I think the virus is real, and until there's a vaccine, I'd be shocked if there was football. That's all, end quote. And that was in a reply to Larry the Cable Guy. But yeah, that's the question. Will we have the NFL or college football this year? So we'll find out. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about lawsuits. More specifically, Title IX lawsuits. More specifically than that, Carroll College has a couple filed against wrongful firing and termination involving some Title IX, and then a true Title IX lawsuit filed by members and former members of the Carroll College softball program. We will talk to attorney Kelsey Trainer when we come back, and right now is the time. Apparently, I became Southern. Right now is the time to get on the schedule for all of your lawn, pest, and tree needs. Give it a hold of Nitro Green, nitrogreenhelena.com, 443-5088. And it's fun to watch on Facebook Live to see the people that are joining. We see you. Kelsey Trainer's coming up next. Jason Walker Show.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today. Everyone knows about Dinner's Done Right and the convenience of the cook and carry cuisines. It's so easy to just stop by and you have something for dinner that night. But there's also one more thing you need to know about. Dinner's Done Right Grab and Go Salad Bar. Yes, I said salad bar. Always the freshest ingredients along with a daily soup and nacho bar too. So the next time you are in a rush or you just want to eat healthy, stop by Dinner's Done Right for the soup, salad, and nacho bar. For monthly menus and more info, it's dinnersdoneright.com. Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Oh, happy Friday. It's a finally Friday. Of course, I don't know, is it really Friday? For the last 2 weeks, I feel like we're just, every day is the same. Like, I don't know what day of the week it is, and I'm sure many of you feel the same way. Welcome back, Major Mortgage Man Cave, Jason Walker Show. Tony Arnson, new member of the Montana Coaches Association Hall of Fame, will join us coming up. We are also got on this day in history, the walk-off. Don't forget, no Jason Walker shows live next week. You can watch any of our previous shows, including this one, on jasonwalkershow.com if you really need a fix next week while we're on vacation. Not even going anywhere. Just, who knows? I mean, if something big and breaks and I'll be here, I can get on the air, but no shows next week. Because I want a break. I've been going at this hard since yesterday. I don't know. All right, we're going to... oh, man. Fun stuff. That was kind of I don't think we played that song yet. That was kind of a new one. I liked it. All right, here we go. So, all of our guests appear via the Mike Miller State Farm hotline. Get a hold of Mike Miller in Helena for all your auto, home, and life insurance today. And Mike Miller, State Farm, Helena. All right, that includes our first guest today. She's an attorney out on the East Coast. And the reason I'm having her on the show is there's been a couple of lawsuits in the last year filed against Carroll College, including one just a couple of months ago by some current and past members of the Carroll softball program, alleging Title IX violations. And we've talked Title IX extensively on this show, but it was right to bring in, or felt right to bring in this attorney, her name is Kelsey Trainer, to get the true meaning behind Title IX, and not just how it affects Carroll, but also all universities and colleges and high schools and the workplace. And the fact of the matter is, and I go back to, we'll talk about this in our interview, but it doesn't matter what certain colleges or universities say. They can say they're Title IX compliant, but if they're not, they're not. And it's not a matter of conjecture. It's a matter of, it is a federal law. Title IX is a federal law. That's it. There's no way around it. It's a federal law. And to get more on that now, we welcome in attorney Kelsey Trainer. She joins us here now on the Jason Walker Show. All right, first off, I appreciate you joining us because it's late out on the East Coast, but you are so into... I follow you on Twitter and just read all of your updates, Kelsey, that it's amazing that we live in such a small world here in Montana. We think these lawsuits against Carroll, which we'll talk about in a second, but there's so many different ones from the national level with the WNBA and women's soccer all the way down to your high schools.
Yeah, there's so much going on in the women's sports world. And then Title IX, specifically having to do with universities and high school students and players. It's an interesting space, but the time is now, essentially.
How did you get involved in writing about Title IX and studying Title IX and becoming a massive, I guess, supporter of it?
Yeah, so I played college sports. I ended up coaching Division III basketball before I went to law school. And I kind of got out of sports for a bit, and I moved to New York. I worked in TV and film, and then got back into the law. Now I work for a media company, and one of the websites that my media company has is a site that is a national news site. And a colleague came to me and asked if I wanted to host a podcast with her and write about sports. And so that was, I guess, last July or last summer. And from that point on, I've just been immersed in this world, and I kind of try to stay in my lane from the legal perspective because there's so many people out there in the sports world covering women's sports and female sports reporters who are so outstanding at what they do. Mm-hmm. And I will never be them. But, I do believe from my legal perspective that I have an insight, and I try to explain things to people in a way that's understandable because the legal jargon of it all is quite frankly boring.
and yes, well said, because you read through a lawsuit and you're like, I don't understand. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this word is. I don't even know how to pronounce half the stuff. Kelsey, right. Yeah, Kelsey Trainer, I guess, your Jason Walker Show. All right, so let's break down Title IX, and there's many facets of it, so we don't have to go into all of it, but give us the layman's terms of what is expected at a college or a university with Title IX as it relates to athletics?
Right. So Title IX in and of itself is only 37 words. So you have this, major area of law that is essentially only 37 words. But any institution that receives federal funding, that is an education program or activity, requires that on the basis of sex, no person shall be excluded from participation in or being denied the benefits of any discrimination, essentially. So in the sports complex, the Title IX itself wasn't enacted, and no one even thought it would necessarily apply to sports. Little fun fact about it is that it ended up on Nixon's desk, I think, 5 days after the Watergate scandal. So it kind of split in there, and throughout the years, it started, people realized, hey, this applies to athletics. Originally, education. And so all of these schools receive funding, and it essentially requires some sense of equality if you are receiving federal funding from, the government.
And a lot of instances, people think, like in Carroll College's case, because it's a private university, that it doesn't apply. However, if you receive that federal funding, all private, sections go off the table, and you're required to abide by a 1972 law, federal law.
Exactly. If you're getting any sort of federal benefits and funding, then Title IX applies to you.
All right.
At the education level.
Kelsey Trainer, our guest here, she's an attorney and sports writer on the Jason Walker Show. All right, so let's dive into this latest lawsuit against Carroll College that's filed by a couple of former and some current softball players, and they're alleging violations of Title IX. As you read the lawsuit, what was your takeaway?
So my takeaway from reading the lawsuit is that if you read through it, right, and you read the statistics, it shows you that information that is publicly available, that there's factually a 19% participation gap. So you have 58% of the student body being female and approximately 42% of the student body being male. But the difference in the female athletes able to participate in sport and male athletes able to participate in sport is 19% in favor of men. And so the statistics are there. And that's part of the problem with Title IX is that the only way to enforce it essentially is through civil litigation. Because this information is out there, right? It's publicly available that you have 44 scholarships going to male athletes, but only 31.6 scholarships going to female student athletes. So that's out there. That's not equal. You can look at that and say, compare apples to apples, and it's not equal. So the information is out there, but the only way to kind of have anything get done about this is through this lawsuit. So in looking at it at first glance, there's something there, right? The numbers are there, and that's the first start.
When you look at it from that aspect, and people say, okay, well, the numbers, because you have football, and this is the excuse of colleges and universities, but there's a provision that if a school or university has football, they have to explain that. There's a provision in there. Am I wrong or am I right?
I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to.
Well, I think that because there's like 3 tiers in the sports, and if you have a football team, then obviously the numbers aren't going to be or equal, so you have to offer. I don't remember. Maybe I don't even know what I'm talking about. I pretend I do sometimes, but I thought there was a stipulation if there's a football team involved at a campus, but maybe not. Kelsey Trainer, our guest here. All right, so the 5 main things in this lawsuit are provision of practice and competition facilities, provision of training facilities, locker rooms, funding, scholarships, and fundraising opportunities, provision of equipment and supplies, and then scheduling of games and practice times along with travel. As you look at that, those 5, I guess, complaints, how many of them can be considered valid?
I think they all are. I think they're, when you're looking at, we don't have all the facts, right? So we don't know what other teams, other male or female teams at this university, what their practice conditions are. right? So there is a sense of what are other male teams subjected to? Are they also subjected to, similar conditions where they don't have, game day facilities, or they don't have a team room, or they're driving vans to their own games instead of having buses, right? So we don't have all of the information, but all of these things do fall under the two, essentially, the counts, right? So you have the first claim, which is unequal treatment. Mm-hmm. And then you have the second one, which is, I believe it's participation opportunities, right? That has to do with the availability of scholarships and participation. And I think that the numbers there, when you have the number of male to female athletes and male to female students interested in participation in sport, and you have the available scholarships, I think there's a lot there that suggests that, a Title IX violation will be found. For the most part, in these cases, they end up settling, right? Because the numbers are there. So you file this lawsuit, and it's going to take a lot of money and time to litigate. And so at the end of the day, it's cost-benefit analysis of it's cheaper to settle for the most part. But I think when I look at the participation numbers and the scholarships available, that to me is the most striking part.
What was interesting to me as well that stood out is they only bring, the softball team only mentions men's golf. Well, women's golf, men's and women's track, cross country, both, they all have to practice and do their things off site. There's none of that on campus at Carroll. It was interesting to me that they only went after the men's golf team, but
right. Yeah. What's the tea there? What's the drama? I don't have that inside info.
I wish I knew, and I'm here. I don't know that about that. So obviously this takes a while, and we know there's that other lawsuit with the former golf coach or current golf coach and Ben McIntyre that he filed last summer. So this is two lawsuits alleging Title IX violations against Carroll College in a year plus, and this takes a while, like you said, to drag out. And how long typically does a civil lawsuit involving Title IX take?
Oh my gosh. That's such a loaded question. It depends on where it's filed and, what court it is in. It can take anywhere from, 2, 3, 4 years and longer. It's not something that happens quickly. And I think that's probably the point. And that's part of the issue that people have with Title IX itself, right? So when it started, it was, so many strides had been made, right, for women in sport and participation and scholarship and opportunities. But what we're seeing is that there is not this enforcement side of it. So you have all this publicly available information, you have all these statistics, but who's enforcing it? The NCAA is not. There's no mechanism for them to enforce it. They're not doing anything. Mm-hmm. And so like I said, was saying before, the only way to kind of have any relief is through the civil litigation process and to sue for money damages and injunctive relief. So part of this is for, injunctive relief for Carroll to essentially have to stop their discriminatory practices and to create more opportunities for female athletes and women's sports.
Okay, so I'm gonna. There's knowledge, and it's public information. If you follow Carroll, it happened 6-7 years ago when they added women's softball. Kelsey, they also added men's soccer. Now, if your numbers even then were already skewed, why would you add a men's sport on top of a women's sport, knowing that your numbers already don't match?
Right, because who's going to challenge it?
Yeah, that's just...
Right. And that's the whole problem with Title IX, and you see it happening at major universities, right? The latest lawsuit last year was University of Kentucky, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Major university. And they were just sued for Title IX violations, and it was the same thing. The information was out there. It was publicly available information. It was the U.S. Department of Education records that you had such and such participation and such participation gap. It's all out there, and it's been out there for a certain period of time, but nobody's enforcing it. So all of these schools can continue to get away with it, and people, for the most part, these universities treat Title IX as guideline and not a law. But turns out it is a law, and it is something that has to be abided by. And that's what these civil lawsuits, do essentially, is have they're the only enforcement mechanism right now for Title IX.
And that's what I don't understand is Kelsey Trainer joins us here, is it's a law. I mean, it is the federal law. You can't just say, oh, we did an internal investigation. And this is another thing that I was told last month, that Carroll did an internal investigation in 2019, found itself to be Title IX compliant, and then you have 2 lawsuits against you alleging that you're not. So obviously you're not. If you look at, just like you said, the public information, the numbers are there that you aren't
Right.
Title IX compliant. Why would you say that if you're not?
I compare it a little bit to, the United Nations or any notion of like international law, in that it sounds great. And, to an extent it exists. But if there's no enforcement mechanism, then what weight does it really hold? And so because built into, the NCAA and their processes, there is not this enforcement mechanism. The only thing that happens is by young women taking these things to court, and essentially forcing, with their own time and money, forcing these schools to be in compliance.
Well, and what's great about these young women across the country is they're not going to benefit from this. I mean, this is going to happen for, maybe a generation down the road, or 3 more classes down the road, essentially, just to throw numbers out there. But they're not going to benefit, but yet they're doing it to look out for the teams that come behind them. And I wanted to bring up the South Dakota State issue that came out a couple of weeks ago, I guess, where they were ordered to keep certain women's sports and didn't, or, I think I saw it on your page. So refresh my memory on that one.
Oh, yeah. I also kind of forget the details of that, but it was essentially, it was a lawsuit like this, right? And there was Title IX violations found, and, for the most part, you can get money, right? So some of these women do get compensated. They do get money. Mm-hmm. But another part of it is that the judge ordered these schools to be in compliance with Title IX. So ordered them to, up participation, up opportunities, and scholarships. And this school just didn't do it, right? They just didn't. And their response, I believe, was that they were in the process of setting it up, and that they had this certain time frame to do it. And I believe the judge, again, ordered them in violation of a court order, and said, no, this turns out, again, that this is a law that, you lost, and this was an order from the court, and so get to it, or you're going to be fined even more.
And aren't they, I think the school, South Dakota State, is adding another men's sports program, knowing that they're already in violation. I mean, this is like adding men's soccer when you have, and this is, I'm not hammering on men's sports, but
right, not
if you
at all.
already have to do, if you have to add women's sports, why are you adding women or men's sports? Or if you have to cut women or whatever it is, you got this. Again, I go back to what you keep saying. This is a federal law. This isn't just something like, maybe I'll cut my grass tomorrow, or maybe I won't.
Right. And here's the thing. At the end of the day, for any of these places, if you don't want to abide by Title IX, don't take federal money. But that's not going to happen, right? So that's not going to happen. So at the end of the day, this is what these universities are technically obliged to kind of, adhere to, but they don't. I don't know if they're it's out of touch, and the type of thing where if everyone else is doing it, you continue to get away with it. The cost-benefit analysis of what are the repercussions, and at the end of the day, for the most part, the repercussions aren't there unless you have these types of lawsuits.
Couple final questions here for Kelsey Trainer. I know at Carroll College, the Title IX coordinator didn't know how to do a Title IX compliant test. Would that be a violation? I mean, why would you hire somebody that doesn't know what they're doing?
Right. So even to the enforcement mechanisms and the training and the processes for people at universities to ensure Title IX, there's no uniformity to it. And so that's something that the college itself has to figure out. But it's not like they're necessarily violating something by not having somebody that adheres to this very strict routine thing, right? Because who's gonna enforce it?
Mm-hmm.
No one else is enforcing it anywhere else.
Going back real quick to that internal investigation that Carroll did last year, supposedly or allegedly, what is that? Can you get that as a Freedom of Information Act, or is it private?
I'm not quite sure. It might be something that a Freedom of Information Act could get into, but I'd have to read, the specific law of the state to find that out. But it might be something worth looking into.
Yeah, definitely, because obviously they're not in compliance. I mean, we've discussed that very.
And it'd be interesting to see the arguments of why they think they are, right?
Sure.
Because certainly, it's always nice to say that you are doing something that's not against federal law. You know, turns out that's also helpful as well.
Kelsey Trainer joining us here on the Jason Walker Show from her home in New York. All right, so I got to ask you this. We've seen great things happen with women's athletics, and not just Title IX when it was, with the numbers, but sexual harassment and rapes and the things like that. That all falls under Title IX as well. And we've seen a lot of those lawsuits over the years. There's still a lot of work to do for women in athletics and women in sports and just women in general. What would you like to see here in the next 5 to 10 years?
It's tough. I think the growth of the professional women's sports leagues will be incredibly helpful. If you go back to even, Title IX being enacted in the 70s, right? Many colleges or universities didn't even have women's sports teams. Penn State, I believe, didn't have like a women's sports team until like 1968, right? So women's sports are behind in so many different areas.
Mm-hmm.
I think coverage has to increase. I think investment has to increase. It's a kind of a chicken or the egg argument of what comes first. And I think it's a little bit of both. And, people continuing to advocate. I think it's amazing when you see, the professional male athletes attending these games. You've got in the basketball world, you've got professional basketball players attending, high school women's basketball games. You got Paige Buckers out of Minnesota, and Karl Anthony Towns was at her game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we saw that trend with Kobe Bryant and Gigi. And, at his memorial, at his tribute to his life, you had women's basketball was the theme, and the investment into it and the future of focusing on, really building up women's sports. And so I think that's the start. And I think that through that, you're going to see advances at every level when we continue to make the investment in equity, essentially, right? Because I always refer to a 400-meter race kind of as my conversation around women's sports, right? Women's sports is so far behind. And when there's a 400-meter race, not everybody starts in the same line, because if they did, it wouldn't be fair, because you have a whole track to go around. It's not the same distance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that women's sports in overall and investment and coverage is so far behind that there needs to be this concerted effort for a bit of a head start. A start on the outside lane where you're not starting the same at the same place as people in the inside lane. You are starting, a bunch of meters ahead. And so that's, I think, what I'm most looking forward to. And I think we're seeing that there really is a time, especially you've got the U.S. women's national soccer team, the equal pay lawsuit, which has national implications. I mean, people don't even know the logistics and the ins and outs of what's actually happening with it. But at the end of the day, there's still people chanting equal pay, across a stadium. And I think it's a big deal and has big implications for women's sports everywhere.
And of course you have to have, I think I'm not taking all the credit, but you have to have guys that like a Kobe Bryant or LeBron or Karl Anthony Towns, these guys that need to, that continue this, but you have to have sports guys like myself, sports talk show hosts or sports writers that come out and support women and just get rid of that old school mentality that only men are allowed to do certain things because I mean, but
right.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
I mean,
it's so true. It is. And I have to say some of my biggest advocates in the industry have been men. And, Muffin McGraw, I had interviewed her, the Notre Dame head coach. I interviewed her a while back, and she's like, we don't just need allies, we need advocates. And Jay Billis has been somebody who's like that for me, where he continues to promote and advocate for my work for no reason other than he's just kind, right? He just thinks it's the right thing to do. And I think that that's so important. And I think that you're starting to see it more and more, because at the end of the day, still, too, when you're not just talking about the athletes, you're still talking about the coaches, you're talking about the executives, and women take up so little space in those spaces that the only way you're actually going to see change is when the people in the positions of power, who for the most part are men, are speaking up, are advocating, and are making conscious decisions. I
completely agree. One quick final question. What was Tom Selleck like to work with?
Oh, the stash. He was great.
Because you worked on
Great
Blue
guy.
Bloods, right?
Yes. Yeah, I worked on Blue Bloods. Great guy. He's awesome. I love to say Donnie Wahlberg is probably one of my favorite people of all time. Tom Selleck is very regal. He's very old school and just has this mannerism and kind of way about him that is, it's kind of otherworldly. It's so cool to see. Yeah.
Well, I had to bring it up before I let you go, but I really appreciate the time, and I look forward to talking with you down the road if something happens, if I hear something on this lawsuit, and I appreciate your knowledge. It's just been an eye opener for sure. So I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
That was Kelsey Trainer.
Right, first off, I appreciate.
Hold on. What are we doing? Boom. That was Kelsey Trainer joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. So there you go. It's not a complete breakdown of all the lawsuits and the two against Carroll, but you get a basic idea of what the I guess the plaintiffs are up against, and it's. I reached out to Chad Hazelbaker, the media guy at Carroll College, for lack of a better word, and asked for completely asked for their internal review that they did. And they hired an outside person to do this internal review, which is a whole new story. But he said it's not public knowledge. The college, Carroll College administration says from the top, they are Title IX compliant. But you look at the numbers, like Kelsey talked about in the very beginning, and they're not. They're not. So what's it going to take to change? And we'll see. We're still a couple of years off from probably getting any settlements or loss, anything, which is unfortunate. But wanted to put that out there and give you a heads up, or give you a lawyer's perspective, an attorney's perspective of Title IX. All right, so here we go. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Jason Walker Show. And when we do, we're going to check in. We're going to lighten the mood. We're going to check in with the head coach of Argo Track and Field. He was the former Helena High football and track coach, and he is a new member of the Montana Coaches Association Hall of Fame. Tony Arnson joins us next. This last segment brought to you by Ruckers Furniture. Make the quality choice for your home at Ruckers Furniture.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Ruckers Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Ruckers, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $289. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Ruckers Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of The Jason Walker Show. Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting, as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals. Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Oh, it's a finally Friday Jason Walker Show final segment. If you have any questions about what Kelsey Trainer talked about, the attorney, Title IX, get a hold of me, jasonwalkersports@gmail.com. If you missed it, you can catch it on jasonwalkershow.com a little bit later. All right, we're going to get right to it. We got On This Day in History still to come, the walk-off. Remember, no shows next week. We'll be back April 6th, but I want to welcome in my next guest. He is a great friend of the show. He has been a fantastic dude for the almost 7 years that I've known him. But I want to welcome in the newest member of the Montana Coaches Hall of Fame Association. Well, he'll be inducted in July, but his name is Tony Arntzen, and he joins us now. How are you, Coach?
Hey, things are going well. A little bit messy with all this going on, but things are going good. Our recruiting things, I think, still rolling along up here, so things are good.
Well, you just signed a new Fort Benton girl, right?
Yeah, we just got Mackenzie Clark out of Fort Benton. She's a great all-around athlete. Signed a gal from Great Falls High, Caitlin Gilbert. That's a really good all-around athlete. I think that was two great signs for us right now.
Absolutely. Argo track coach Tony Arntzen joining us here at Jason Walker Show. All right, congratulations. You're going in with a great class. I mean, when you are included with the Stantons, that's pretty impressive. Yeah. So congratulations.
Yeah, it really is. Well, thank you. I'm not, it really hasn't set in, I don't think. It's very humbling, and it was definitely a surprise phone call last night that I got, and I spent most of the night texting all my old Helena High coaches from the good old days back in '94 and thanking those guys, and it's just such a heck of a journey, and so thankful that I got to work with so many awesome kids. I mean, that's what makes it happen, is the kids and the parents bought into our program. Our assistants worked their tails off, and it was a great ride, and I'm very honored to be put into the Hall of Fame with guys that that not only mentored me, but guys that I watched and respected so much in our profession, and it's very humbling for sure.
You had a couple of great battles with Rob Stanton at Billings West. Take me What do you remember most about those battles?
Rob does such a great job, and him and I think we've become friends throughout the years, obviously. And as a matter of fact, we just texted each other this morning. We crossed texts almost. It happened so fast, but it's an honor to go in with him. And those Stantons are obviously coaching legends in themselves, and it's just a fun class to go in with. I was telling my brother on the phone earlier. Coach Wesson out of Hamilton, he was a basketball referee back in the old days when I was the head coach at Charlo, and I think he had to kick me out of a game or two. So I'm not sure how he feels about going in with me or not. But I'm kind of anxious to talking to him again about it.
How do you get kicked out of a football game as the head coach? Come on.
No, it was basketball back in Charlo. I wasn't a very good basketball coach, until I got with Coach Keller at Helena High. He coached me up a little bit, but at Charlo, boy, I struggled, and I think I took a lot of that out on the officiating. I was a young kid and didn't know any better, so that's where I spent all my time, was yelling at the officials.
All right, well, you might have learned the game of basketball from Coach Keller, but Coach Keller is not easy on officials either. Let's not go, give him all the greatness.
There's a lot of truth to that, but Coach Keller, there's no doubt. I as an assistant sitting next to him, I learned some stuff now. Stuff that I'd never heard before, and I thought I was a pretty well-rounded person, but he can get at a person personally like nobody else I've ever been around.
Oh, man, you're telling me. Tony Arnson joining us, UP Argo track coach. All right, so it was cool for you, and I saw your quotes in the paper today that you are in the release that you talked about. You got to coach, Troy and Ryan, but you had some other great kids that you coached, not only at Helena High, but Charlo. I mean, you can't, aside from take out the boys, you can't really say who your favorite team was, right?
No way. I go back to, and I have to thank my wife at this time more than anything, is the things I put her through in the last 30 years with the coaching deal, and it's such a rat race, and I wished I could pick out your favorite, but you never do. You just can't do it. There's so many great times and so many great players and so many unbelievable people that you get to meet along the way, or just around the state of Montana, and I mean at all levels, from Class C to Class AA. Just the dedication of coaches in this state to what they do it's unbelievable. And I honestly today that's a lot of the stuff that I thought about, was all the guys that I'm still very good friends with from the young days when I was at Charlo and I was 23 years old and a head coach, and I'm coaching against guys like Al Walker and Larry Henderson from Scobie, and I mean guys like that and they treated you so well. They were so respectful, and I thank all those guys along the way. And then when I got to Helena High, I mean, look at the list of guys. I'm not smart enough to do this. I'm going to do this with Kurt Sinnis probably tomorrow. But
wait. Why you do it with Kurt, not me?
I gotta throw my kudos out to Kurt, because Kurt's been my historian forever.
That is true.
He's the only reason that I know anything, that I remember anything at all, is because of Kurt. But I want to know, when I came in at Helena High in 1994, I want to know, out of the head coaches that were in the AA, how many are actually in the Hall of Fame now? And it's an ungodly number.
Yeah.
You get Coach Johnson from CMR and Gary Ekegren and the list of Dale Polies, and I mean it was just the coaches that I got to compete, and it made for a lot of tough Friday nights. Trust me.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about that.
The coaches that I got to learn from and watch their programs and how they treated me with so much respect as a young coach and helped me along the way. It's just. I can't thank any of them enough, and I just feel so blessed to be in that situation.
So how many, and I love Kurt Sinnis, by the way, too. So how many...
I know you do.
How many CMR guys now on the coaching, from Coach Johnson and the coaching tree are now going in, or already in now?
I think from his coaching tree, it would have to be, and I'm going to mess this up probably, but I know Dale Poley, myself, for sure. Those would be the two that came out of there. And there's some great coaches that came out of there. Coach Wraith, and that's from the old days, that are there. And he surely could be in there, to be honest with you. Maybe more for track and field at this time, but Coach Johnson, I don't have to say much about him.
No.
What I learned from him, and just in handling everything, the whole program itself, not the X's and O's, but how to handle your program and your discipline, and how to make it important to kids and make them buy in so deep that there's just nothing else. And now that I've been back in Great Falls for a year, I run into a lot of those old guys, and it's just unbelievable how much he meant to all the guys that he coached. Still to this day, how much they talk about him and the program. And so, yeah, my hat's off to him. Obviously, he was definitely one of my definite main mentors. But then you go to Helena High. I mean, how about this? I come to Helena High as a 26-year-old and jump into the track and field side of it and listen to this group I jump into. Bill Gilbert, already in the Hall of Fame at that time. Doug LeBrun, already in the Hall of Fame at that time. Steve Keller, in the Hall of Fame for basketball. I mean, I got to surround myself with those type of people to learn as a young coach. And I mean, Shirley Chesterfield, my sister-in-law over at Capitol, I mean, you just can't, it just is, you're just fortunate, sometimes things just happen that way. And I'm so thankful for all of it.
It's pretty awesome. Tony Arntzen joining us. So are you going in as a football coach where you didn't win it? Hold on. Where you didn't win a state championship, or are you going into track where you won a couple?
I don't know. Now you'd have to ask the committee that. You'd have to ask the committee, but either way is fine with me for sure.
Sure.
I just appreciated the town, the community of Helena so much in all aspects, not just the football and the track where I was the head coaches, but I got to be an assistant for Steve in basketball. And then I was fortunate enough to be in the youth programs, and we built a East Helena baseball league that is still, as a matter of fact, this is my first spring I was going to be out in 15 years, that I wasn't going to be involved in it. And a basketball league between East Helena and Montana City, just the youth sports, and starting up the flag football programs, and all the things that happened throughout those years are just, I don't know. Again, I'm so thankful for the whole community and the support and everything, all the way down from the media people, my administrators. Everybody was so supportive, and it made it real easy for me.
You might be the first coach to ever thank media.
I did. I thought our media, and I do. I think, Jason, you know how much respect I have for you and how much fun we've had. But Kurt Sinnis, to me, I had a Kurt Sinnis night my last year at Helena High, and I didn't even know it was going to be my last year. And thank God I did. Because guys like him, you're not going to see that anymore. Those guys are not going to come around. It's not going to happen. I just don't believe that. I don't think you're in 40 years, you're not going to see guys that are in this business for 65, 60 years of their life, whatever it's been, and they just live and die it, And those guys, our hats have to be off to them, because when they're gone, I think it's going to be tough. It's going to be a whole different element. I think about the guys here, even at the Tribune, George Geis and Mike Town and those guys, and
Scott
we're going to miss guys like that. Scott Manch, I just ran into him the other day. As a matter of fact, he was back in town. He's living out in Minnesota, and guys like that know the history of sports in Montana and they've lived it, and it means so much to them. We're going to miss those type of people for sure.
Well, you're one of those guys historically that now is enshrined in a Hall of Fame, or will be in July. I got a message from Chuck Price, who said, Coach Arntzen's a great guy. His involvement in the youth sports programs while he was here in Helena, it was very much appreciated. Congrats, Coach A. So there you go.
Oh man, that's awesome. I have to big thank you to him, because that means a lot coming from him for sure.
Well, we appreciate it. I know this isn't the last time we're going to talk. I'm hoping to get up to Great Falls sometime soon. And who knows, maybe sooner than later, I'll be hanging out with you up in Great Falls.
I hope so. I'm going to come by next time. One of these times I'm in Helena, I'm going to come by and bombard your show, and I'll make a surprise guest appearance, and we'll come in and just talk a little bit about good old things.
Please do. We got to wait at least 2 weeks until,
All right. I heard you're off for a week, huh? Is that that's a coronavirus thing? Is that shut you down for a week?
I normally take a week off at spring break.
Vacation?
So, yeah, I'm going on vacation to my downstairs instead of hanging out in the upstairs office.
Perfect.
No, I'm just going to spend more time with the little one. She's 22 months now, so she'll be 23 months on April 1st. And so just, the wife's got to work from home.
You can't spend too much time doing that. That's for sure.
No, absolutely not. And, by the way, quick update. Bob, because I know you coached him. I don't know if you can call it coaching him, but he is a crew chief you can't coach kickers. He's a crew chief on a Blackhawk crew down in Fort Riley, Kansas. So just giving an update on Bob there. So, yeah, he's crew chief.
Good. Well, make sure you tell him hi for me. That's
I will.
Awesome.
I will, Coach.
All
hey,
right.
Congratulations. Appreciate the time, and we'll talk to you down the road soon.
Hey, thanks, buddy. It was great to hear from you. Thanks for having me on for sure.
Yep. See you, Coach. That is Coach Tony Arntzen joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. Oh man, what a blast! Love catching up with Coach A. We had some great off the mic conversations when he was at Helena High as the head coach, and stuff that will never make the radio airwaves or any airwaves, because it was a lot of fun talking with Coach Arntzen. I should probably take that down right now. All right, let's get to On This Day in History. It is brought to you by the Motherlode, and we've talked about this all week, and we're going to keep talking about this for the next, however long it needs to be talked about. The Motherlode, Dinner's Done Right, Cafe Zydeco, and even Green Meadow. If you are a member at Green Meadow Country Club, they are offering takeout as well. And if you are not a member at Green Meadow Country Club, call them, get signed up. You can still golf right now, which is great. Tell them you heard it on the Jason Walker Show. All right, On This Date is brought to you by the Motherlode. 1939, the first men's basketball championship in the NCAA. Oregon beat Ohio State, 46-33. 1945, at the 7th basketball championship, Oklahoma State beat NYU. In 1951, the 13th championship, Kentucky beat Kansas. Boy, you talk about some blue bloods. Whew, third title for the Wildcats. 16-team field was introduced for the first time. 1971, the 33rd, UCLA beat Villanova for its 5th consecutive title. Villanova was later disqualified due to an ineligible player. 1978, the 40th championship, Kentucky beat Duke. The Wildcats' 5th title. Jack Givens scored 41 in that game. Let's see. 1790, the world was changed forever. The modern shoelace with the egglet was patented in England by Harvey Kennedy. The egglet. And on this date, 1952, the music world was changed forever. Sun Records in Memphis began releasing records. And of course, Elvis, Johnny Cash, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, some great ones that passed through there for sure. What are we doing now? Why is this not playing? Oh,
we always.
How about this? There we go. Boom.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
All right. We learned that Kelsey Trainer joined us. What a fantastic interview with her. Yeah, I'll take all the credit. But no, she enlightened us on Title IX, lawsuits against Carroll, what's in the future. And, of course, we'll keep you coming up to date on that. There's going to be some news soon, I believe, that we'll be able to talk about down the road on that. Also, Tony Arntzen, who we just spoke with on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline, thanks for joining us on short notice. The newest member of the Montana Coaches Association Hall of Fame. He'll be inducted in Great Falls in July. And, of course, don't forget the Jason Walker Show. Support comes in part from Manscaped. And get that new Lawnmower 3.0. Improved skin-safe technology. It is advanced skin-safe technology, and it is awesome. When I tell you it's premium, I mean it. 90 minutes so you can take a longer shave. It is waterproof. You can. It's got 7,000 RPM motor. How about that? I mean, that's just unbelievable. LED light, which is really cool, by the way, to help illuminate the grooming areas for a closer, more precise trim. And let's not forget about the charging stand. It is USB powered. Get 20% off, free shipping. Use the code WALKER20 at manscaped.com. It is manscaped.com. Let's see if we can get the before picture up and loaded. No, not the Hawks. I don't know what that is. No? Okay, we're not going to do it today. You're not going to play nice, I see. Let's see here. The walk-off. Had fun. Had a great week. We are off next week, okay? Just a normal week off. There's nothing else to say. It's just a normal week off. I always take spring break off or around there, and this year's no different. So we're going to do a week off, and we'll be back April 6th. Now, if you missed anything from this week, Peyton Ferris, Sean Ryan, Katie Lynn Krause, Allie Weiss, Zach Allen, Shelby Rasmussen, John Burnett, Sylvan Lacrosse, Kelsey Trainer, Tony Arnson, or any of our past interviews, JasonWalkerShow.com. We appreciate you joining us. We'll see you back here April 6th. And we'll see if by then MHSA is still having spring season. Probably. All right, have a good one. We'll talk to you on April 6th. Good night from The Jason Walker Show.
The Jason Walker Show is produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.